If you told me a year ago that the most satisfying moment of my adult life would involve a bull, a golf cart, and a woman named Lorraine Masters screaming like the world was ending, I probably would have laughed. But here we are. It started with a shortcut. Not a war, not some age-old family feud. Just a lazy shortcut through the back of my family's property. See, my ranch bumps right up against a gated community called Maple Hollow Estates. Fancy name for a bunch of look-alike houses and nosy folks who think owning a lawn gnome makes them cultured. I've lived on this land since I was born. My grandfather built the barn himself, my dad expanded the pastures, and I've spent the last 15 years keeping the place running with help from my cousin Blake and our bull, Titan. Titan's no ordinary bull. 1,600 pounds of black Angus muscle, stubborn as a storm, and territorial like you wouldn't believe. He's not aggressive unless provoked, but he doesn't like strangers, and he hates shiny things. Which, of course, brings us back to Lorraine. Or as the neighborhood calls her, Madam HOA. Lorraine thinks she runs the town. She's the president of the Maple Hollow HOA, self-appointed arbiter of good taste and proper behavior. And she's got this white golf car custom rims, faux eagle hood ornament, Bluetooth speakers. The whole 9 yards. For the past year, she's been cutting through my lower pasture on her way to the clubhouse, ignoring every single private property sign I've put up. I caught her the first time and gave her a polite warning. She laughed and said, "Oh, I thought that was decorative." The second time, she waved and said, "Morning, cowboy. This is just the scenic route." By the third time, I installed a gate. She broke the latch and left a printed note taped to the post that read, "Authorized HOA access point approved by community vote." Approved by who? Her and her dog? Things escalated when she started parking her cart in front of my barn doors. Not for minutes hours. Sometimes she'd recline with her little dog in her lap, sipping sweet tea, blaring Kenny G like she was in a spa. One time, Blake had to hoist a 50-pound feed bag over her windshield just to get inside. When I asked calmly, "Mind you for her to move," she said, "Well, the shade here is just delightful. This is practically a communal patio." I contacted the HOA. Their response? "We'll look into it." Translation: "We'll do nothing unless she complains about you." One weekend, she even hosted what she called a barn brunch, 3 other women, folding chairs, cupcakes, a full cheese platter. All while Titan sat pinned inside, grumbling like he could smell the nonsense through the slats. That night, as I sat on my porch sipping black coffee and watching the sun slide down over the pasture, I realized something. Lorraine wasn't just rude. She was entitled. And entitled people don't stop until you give them a reason. Titan was antsy. He'd been cooped up all week for pasture rotation, pacing in the stall like a freight train on idle. He needed space. He needed movement. He needed let's just say a reason. And Lorraine, in all her shimmering arrogance, parked her chrome nightmare of a cart right in front of his gate again the next morning. I waited. 10. She cranked up the Kenny G, tilted her sunglasses, and started scrolling on her phone like nothing in the world could touch her. And then quietly I opened the inner barn gate. Titan stepped forward. Slowly. His hooves hit the dirt like war drums. His coat gleamed under the rising sun. And when he caught sight of that golf cart, with its mirrors and glinting ornament, something in him clicked. He lowered his head. Lorraine finally looked up. "Oh, hello, moo cow," she said, laughing like he was a prop in a children's petting zoo. "You look grumpy." Grumpy didn't cover it. Titan snorted, scraped his hoof, and charged. Now, to his credit, he didn't hit her. He hit the cart. Square in the front. Bumper shattered, cup holder exploded, sweet tea flew through the air like confetti. Lorraine screamed, dove behind an oak tree, and called animal control from her phone, shaking like a leaf in a hurricane. When I stepped out from behind the feed bins, she screamed again. "You let that beast out on purpose." I shrugged. Barn door was blocked. He needed his morning walk. She went ballistic. Claimed emotional distress, said I'd risked her life. I reminded her she was on private property, and I had 6 weeks of video footage to prove it. She stormed off to file a complaint. The next day, 2 HOA board members showed up at my place: Kurt, the president with a voice like a damp sponge, and Angela, who looked like she'd gotten lost on her way to a sunglasses convention. They told me there were concerns about livestock safety. I smiled and walked them to my office, where the county land maps hung framed next to the deed. "Funny thing," I said, This ranch isn't, and never has been, part of your HOA. You don't have jurisdiction past the drainage ditch. Then I played them the footage. Lorraine sunbathing, brunching, ignoring signs, and, of course, Titan's glorious takedown. Kurt muttered something about not looking good on the board. Angela just stared at her shoes. But Lorraine wasn't done. No, she filed a small claims case accusing me of destruction of property, emotional trauma, and I quote, attempted vehicular manslaughter by livestock proxy. Even my lawyer laughed at that one. We went to court. Lorraine showed up in a neck brace and black shawl, looking like she'd been run over by Shakespeare. I brought Blake and a flash drive of footage. When the judge saw the video, Titan calmly walking, Lorraine mocking him, and then the chargee looked at her and said, "Ma'am, why were you parked in front of a barn clearly marked private?" She mumbled something about sunlight therapy. Case dismissed. Judge warned her that further trespassing could result in criminal charges. I thought that'd be the end. But folks like Lorraine don't lose gracefully. They regroup. 2 weeks later, I get a zoning inspector at my door. Anonymous tip. Alleged barn code violations, unsafe structures, possible rezoning. The guy was polite, confused, and clearly forced into the visit. After a walkthrough, he found nothing wrong. Told me off the record, this smells like someone weaponizing bureaucracy. That was the last straw. I installed a steel gate with a digital lock, mounted trail cameras, and printed new signs, big one saying, private property, livestock present, enter at own risk. And then, just for fun, Blake designed a logo, Titan and sunglasses, with the caption, "You parked where?" We printed t-shirts. Donated proceeds to the county 4-H. Titan became a local hero. Families started visiting just to take photos with him. The HOA started to distance themselves from Lorraine, but she kept pushing. One afternoon, she tried sneaking through on a different path in a new golf cart, this one pink with glitter decals. She got stuck in the cattle grate I'd installed. Tires spinning. No sign of her. She bailed. We towed the cart and filed a trespassing report. She claimed it was stolen until the camera footage surfaced. That week, the HOA called a closed meeting. A neighbor leaked the agenda to me. Item 3. Review of member conduct. Apparently, Lorraine had used HOA letterhead without permission, misrepresented policy, and printed fake access signs. They were not happy. But she still had one more trick. She filed a motion to have my barn reviewed for residential rezoning. If passed, I'd face inspections, restrictions, even fines. I didn't wait. I gathered every deed, survey, photo, and testimonial I could find. Called in a zoning attorney named Michelle who used to work for the AG Commission. She said, "This is classic harassment, but we'll shut it down." At the hearing, Lorraine spoke first. Smooth voice, big fake smile, Photoshop pictures of Titan with glowing red eyes like some demon cow. She said he was a menace to property values and public peace. Michelle and I laid it all out. The history of the ranch. The footage. The maps. The fact that Titan had never hurt anyone. I even showed photos of local kids brushing him during the 4-H fundraiser. The board ruled in 10 minutes. Motion dismissed. They even suggested a policy change to prevent this kind of abuse. As the room emptied, Lorraine just stood there, clutching her binder like a sinking ship clutches barnacles. Back home, Titan lounged under the pecan tree like a king. I poured myself a lemonade and joined him, watching the wind ripple through the grass. That weekend, we hosted a little event called it Barn Freedom Day. Just neighbors, music, barbecue. Someone brought a cake that said, "Justice with Hoofs." Titan got a ribbon and a new salt lick. And for the first time in months, the field was quiet. But here's the thing. People like Lorraine don't go away. They wait. And next time she tries something, I won't be caught flat-footed. I've got the law, the land, the town behind me, and a bull with a fan base. So yeah, that's the story of how a woman blocked my barn with a golf cart, and I let a bull do the talking. Now tell me, what would you have done if someone like Lorraine parked in front of your livelihood? Let me know in the comments. And if you've ever dealt with an HOA menace or a boundary-stomping neighbor, you're not alone. Hit like, share this with a friend who needs a laugh, and don't forget, sometimes justice walks on hooves.